I'm joined now by Democrat from Washington, Congresswoman Kim Schrier. Congresswoman, thank you so much for joining us here on Meet the Press Now.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So even with public opinion on your side, how do you make sure that the Democratic Party has a clear message about the president's domestic agenda bill, especially when some provisions like the Medicaid work requirement won't even go into effect until after the midterms?
Well, I just listened to my colleague, and, the expression is when you're explaining, you're losing. And what I just heard was a whole bunch of spin. I will tell you the message has already gotten out to my district. I've been doing so many town halls, and the biggest questions I get are what is happening with Medicaid, what is happening with food stamps, and they understand that this administration and a very obedient Republican Congress is taking food benefits and health care away from the neediest in this country and transferring those savings to a gigantic tax cut for the wealthiest people in this country. The American people understand it, and they're about to see their insurance rates go up. They're going to see long waits in the emergency department, and we're going to see 1 out of 4 rural hospitals close because of this ugly bill.
And Congresswoman, will Democrats only message against this legislation that was passed, or will you also try to work with some across the aisle to try and undo some of the provisions? For example, would you support Senator Hawley's legislation to undo some of the Medicaid cuts?
Well, I will tell you that I will fight for whatever benefits my district, and reversing some of these very dangerous, very hurtful cuts is the right thing to do for my district. In fact, in our subcommittee hearing today, I saw my Republican colleagues bring up a bill to protect rural hospitals, to increase the pipeline, to get more physicians in rural areas, to help with underserved populations. They know this was a bad bill, and they are now trying to fix it. And of course, I will join them in trying to fix this because that is the right thing to do for the people I represent.
So wait, so to be clear, you would or you would not support Hawley's bill?
Well, I'm in the House, he's in the Senate, but I will support legislation that would remove these draconian cuts to Medicaid. I also want to be really clear that my colleague, she said the quiet part out loud. Well north of 90% of people who are able-bodied and can work are working. And what we have seen in other states, in states that have tried this exact technique, is that people who do qualify, who are working, who are taking care of dependents, who meet exemptions, they're getting kicked off of Medicaid simply because of paperwork errors or paperwork delays. And that is why the numbers that we are hearing is that 17 million Americans are going to lose health coverage. And in my state of Washington, hundreds of thousands, it adds up to about half the population of Seattle, is going to lose their health care coverage.
And Congresswoman, Republican strategists have been advising lawmakers to rebrand the legislation, to focus on the tax cuts. So let me play some of what the vice president said today while he was in Pennsylvania.
We worked so hard to get this legislation passed, to cut your taxes, to prevent big tax increases, to make it easier to save and invest right here in this great country that all of us love. Would you believe that the Democrats, they are attacking us every single day? And you know what their big line of attack is? Their big line of attack is that Donald Trump dares to put tariffs on foreign countries who try to bring their crap into the United States of America. And that's interesting to me, because Democrats seem to like everything that increases taxes.
Congresswoman, how do you compete with that messaging, that this legislation is good for people's pocketbooks and that Democrats just want to raise taxes?
Oh my gosh, it is so easy to compete with that messaging because the American people already know, they understand, they've seen this bill, that it takes away their health care, it takes away their food in order to give the biggest tax breaks. Hundreds of thousands of dollars of tax breaks to individual billionaires in this country. This is a bad deal for the people I represent. I do not represent billionaires. So the American people are smarter than this. That's why they are packing my town halls. And frankly, it's why Republicans are being told not to hold town halls, because they don't want to take the heat.
Congresswoman, let me ask you about another topic, about Health Secretary RFK Jr. Last month, you confronted him during a hearing saying you will, quote, lay all the responsibility for every death from a vaccine preventable illness at Secretary Kennedy's feet. So what does that look like? What can you actually do to hold Secretary Kennedy accountable while you're still in the minority?
Well, look, oversight is one of the jobs of Congress. And I want to be clear that RFK Jr. has no business being our Secretary of Health and Human Service. He peddles in conspiracy theories. He has been in the anti-vax circles for dozens of years. And frankly, the reason I can lay responsibility at his feet is that he's spent the past 20 plus years telling parents that they should be more afraid of vaccines than they should be of the diseases that they prevent. And vaccines are safe and effective, and I'm a pediatrician, and I have these conversations and answer questions of nervous parents all the time, and I feel tremendous empathy for them because now RFK Jr. has brought fringe medical theories into the administration and is using that platform to scare parents and to jeopardize public health. So we will do oversight, and I will be very outspoken in making sure that the American people understand that vaccines are safe and effective and that they prevent terrible suffering and death, particularly in children.
So two questions. You're a pediatrician. How do you combat vaccine misinformation? And then separately, if the Democrats do retake the House, would you impeach Kennedy?
Well, let me just say that the way that I can get information out there is talking with people like you. And that video of me taking on RFK Jr. has gone pretty viral and has gotten a lot of really positive response because people are hungering to hear truth. And I think they're hungering to hear like a real, genuine, face-to-face message from somebody who they can trust. And most often that is their pediatrician. So I'm going to try to be the pediatrician for the country and reassure parents and answer their very understandable questions.
And quickly, would you impeach Kennedy if Democrats retake the House?
That's a theoretical question, but I'll tell you that I can't say no to that. He is really harmful, and I'm hoping he resigns before that even becomes an issue.
Thank you, Congresswoman Schrier. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.